Imagine planning a skydiving trip with your family. As the parent, you're responsible for the logistics, packing the parachutes, reviewing the weather, and coordinating the landing zone. You check every detail because you want the best possible outcome. Estate planning is not so different. You focus on how to get the assets to the right place, minimize taxes, and avoid probate, so that wealth transfer happens without any issues. But managing wealth takes judgment, clarity, and the ability to make wise decisions under pressure. So if you deliver wealth without teaching stewardship, that landing might not go so well. Hi, I'm Keith Demetriades, Certified Financial Planner and Certified Kingdom Advisor. And today we're discussing why conventional estate planning can miss the mark, what real legacy planning should include, and how you can start building something beyond your lifetime. Teach the path, legacy lasts. Let's talk first about conventional estate planning. It's all about organizing details, packing that parachute. There's typically a structured checklist: wills, trusts, powers of attorneys, health directives, maybe some gifting strategies if you're ahead of the curve. And let's be honest, that's all important. You want to get the details right because nobody wants to leave their family with a legal mess or unnecessary tax burden. A smooth transfer of assets is a result most people would call a win, game over. But I disagree. If you want a truly successful wealth transfer, you've got to think beyond just the mechanics. Did you know that most families who build significant assets lose them within 2 generations? 70% lose it in the 2nd generation, and 90% lose it by the 3rd. And guess why? According to a comprehensive 20-year study by the Williams Group, there are 4 primary reasons wealth disappears. 60% of failures are due to a breakdown in communication and trust within the family. Another 25% are due to unprepared heirs, and 10% happen because there is no family mission. And 5% is all other causes, which includes failure due to technical planning. So what does that tell us? It tells us that wealth doesn't fail because the paperwork wasn't done correctly. Why do communication and preparation matter so much? Because context is key. Your heirs need to understand how and why to use their resources to help themselves and help others. So teaching and learning are essential components of an estate plan. Take a minute to consider. Have you communicated a sense of purpose for your wealth? Have there been honest conversations about responsibility, stewardship, or the values that shape the estate in the first place? Or are you just planning on handing over this money and hoping for the best? This idea of context is especially important for families with significant resources. More is not inherently better when it comes to money, and larger inheritances don't automatically equal better outcomes. In fact, the opposite is often true. Being handed too many assets without the proper education can encourage passive behavior, feed entitlement, and sometimes create distance between family members. That's how wealth disappears. So how do you help guide your heirs toward the best possible outcome? Teach them how to carry the responsibility. A true legacy requires more than paperwork. It requires participation. Teach the path, legacy lasts. For many families, it all starts with the give while you live philosophy, meaning you demonstrate responsibility and stewardship now so your heirs can observe you and learn in real time. Think of this process in 3 parts: communicate, collaborate, cultivate. First, the communicate. Share your story. Let your heirs know where the wealth came from, what it represents, and the decisions and sacrifices that made it possible. When people know the story behind the resources, they tend to treat them more carefully. It builds a sense of personal accountability. Next, collaborate. Don't just hand over the keys when the time comes. Bring them into the process now. Let them see how you evaluate opportunities, balance generosity with responsibility, and think through complex decisions. Even better, invite their input and discuss their opinions. They might not be making the final call, but they're learning how to think about financial decisions. Exposure leads to maturity. And finally, cultivate. Give them opportunities to grow into stewardship. That might mean letting them manage a small giving account, co-invest in a project, or take ownership of part of the family mission. The goal isn't perfection, it's engagement. You're training judgment, not just transferring assets. Yes, it takes work. If you're wondering whether the effort is worth it, I'll point you to Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That's not just about financial provision. Your goal should be to create good stewards, not just wealthy heirs. Giving while you're alive changes everything. Instead of guessing what you would have wanted, your heirs are learning alongside of you. They're seeing the decisions, asking questions, and just as important, seeing the why behind your choices. Teach the path, legacy lasts. Let me walk you through an example of how this looks in practice with some clients I'll call Greg and Melissa. When I first met with them, it was clear they had done a lot of things right. Greg had built a successful business over 3 decades, while Melissa managed the business and personal finances. They were sharp, organized, and deliberate about their decisions. Their estate plan was already in place. The legal structure worked well. Assets were titled correctly. Taxes had been addressed. And everything was set to transfer cleanly to their 3 adult children. The parachutes were packed. But during that first meeting, we didn't just talk through documents. We also talked about outcomes. I asked them what they wanted their wealth to actually do in their children's and grandchildren's lives. Melissa said, "That's a big part of why we're here. We've been careful with every financial decision we made up to this point. Now we need to really think about what happens when the money leaves our hands." They both wanted to make sure their wealth would leave a legacy, but they weren't sure how to shift from planning the logistics to guiding the outcome. So over the next few months, we started adding layers to their plan, using the give while you live philosophy. They supported one child in launching a business, but treated it as a real investment with clear expectations and regular communication. They helped another child with a home purchase, but built in a planning session before any money changed hands. They also created a small family giving account. Nothing flashy, but enough to invite their kids into a conversation about how money can make a difference. Now the family has regular meetings to decide where to give and why it matters. It's a multi-generational conversation designed to make everyone think about how wealth can be used as a tool, and it's gaining traction. The results didn't come from one big moment, but over time, their kids have become more engaged. They ask better questions, they've started taking more ownership of their financial decisions, and the conversations that used to be limited to dollars now reflect something deeper. The best part is that because Greg and Melissa started that process early, they get to see it work now. Teach the path, legacy lasts. Here's the whole point of the story in a nutshell. Wealth doesn't create impact, people do. Let me say it again. Wealth doesn't create impact, people do. Preparing the next generation matters just as much as providing for them. Legacy planning should never be treated as a one-time transaction. It's an ongoing process. To wrap things up, I'm going to leave you with one question to consider. If your paperwork is handled, your estate planning paperwork, but no one understands your story or your priorities, is that really enough? If not, then there's still work to be done. I'm Keith Demetriades. Thanks for joining me today. And if you found this video valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to get more information on financial planning and intentional giving. Be a savvy steward. Make your life count.